The world is consumed with this coronavirus thing. It's all anybody talks about. It's all you hear about on the news. So Christians have to ask, well, does the Bible talk about this? Is there anything the Bible can tell us about this? Any advice the Bible can give us? What we can or should do? And actually, there is. I came across this morning, and I thought I should share this with you. In 1 Kings chapter 8, King Solomon is praying for his people, the people of Israel, at the dedication of this new temple. Verse 37, if there is famine in the land, if there is pestilence, if there is blight or mildew, locust or grasshopper, if their enemy it besieges them in the land of their cities, whatever plague, whatever sickness there is, whatever prayer or supplication is made by any man or by all your people Israel, each knowing the affliction of his own heart and spreading his hands toward this house, then here in heaven, your dwelling place, forgive and act, and render to each according to all his ways, whose heart you know, for you alone know the hearts of all the sons of men. Now, a lot of Christians are cautious, or they don't think that verses like this in the Old Testament that apply to Israel can apply to our country today. Let's put it like that. But here, God is talking about famine and pestilence, blight, mildew, locust, or grasshopper, and it's related to him. This isn't like this is two separate worlds, God's world, and then there's natural world, the nature, and they're two totally independent things. Famine, pestilence, plague, it's all related to God. And the response here is about the people praying, knowing the affliction of his own heart. In Daniel chapter 9, now Daniel is a very righteous man, the one that the Bible holds up as an example of perfection almost. In fact, when several times in the book of Daniel, an angel appears to him and calls him highly esteemed by God. Yet when Daniel prayed for his people, he confessed their sins as his sins. Now, many times, and I'm not going to do a study of that here, but here the Bible is directly relating things like pestilence and plague as in God's purview. This is something that is a matter of prayer. It's something that should draw people to pray about these things. I had a thought and I forgot it now. But and the response was basically starting out with confession. You know, our country has lost its way entirely. You know, and this whole thing about the virus, there's no talk about God in here. It's all science. But science just knows what has happened. It doesn't know what will happen. It can give these predictions which are not turning out true, but they're looking for answers. And God is saying in the Bible, look to him for answers. There are so many things we don't know about a virus, how it spreads, what can stop it. But the Bible certainly indicates that God can and is willing to do that. He's done that before. And many of things that have happened in Israel's life was directly related to their attitudes toward God and their life as a human being. So as Christians, when we hear about pestilence in the land or a plague, the first thing we need to do is to go and seek God, confess our sins as a national sins. This isn't like, you know, your own personal things, but it's bad too if you want. But this is within God's hands. This is something that God is willing to able, and it's something that does respond to prayer. But this is something that the nation needs to do. And Christians need to see this as something that you should be praying about, coming for God, and say, God, as a nation, we have turned our back on you. We have ignored you. We have put you aside. And Christians, we've lived our own lives, our own little bubble. My walk with God, my sins, my prayer life, my little family, and just all our little needs. But we've neglected it as a nation to address the nation as the nation's needs, and it is important. So if there's famine in the land, if there's pestilence, plague, whatever sickness there is, here there in heaven, your dwelling place, and forgive. The first thing Solomon said is to forgive and act, and to render to each according to all his ways. Take care.